Hey, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about the one time I watched OVW TV, which is the Nightmare Rumble. So, first I want to talk about why I watched OVW. Second, I'm going to tell you some news that I picked up that made me watch OVW. Then I'm going to tell you about the show. And during the show, before we get to the show, I want to talk about probably some of the funniest shit and one of the best wrestling promos I've heard in a long, long time. But first, I watched this show because not only because some people have asked me to watch OVW before, and I just happened to have the time, but also I had seen some stories from OVW. The first story is that Brian Pillman Jr., the Brian Pillman Jr., the only one that's still around, obviously, had relinquished the OVW heavyweight title because he wanted to do a full-time commitment in AEW. And, to minimize the risk of spreading COVID and all that type of stuff, he decided to just let go of OVW and go do AEW pretty much full-time. As full-time as he can be, knowing that he's still under contract to MLW. So that was interesting, and that actually led to this show because the Nightmare Rumble was actually for that abandoned OVW championship. So I kind of got mixed feelings on it. Like, it makes sense for you to go off to do the national promotion. It's definitely more money, and it's a bigger opportunity, better opportunity. It kind of sucks to leave them in the lurch and not drop the belt, but I get it. I understand. The second thing is that OVW is now owned by two other guys. It's no longer owned by Al Snow. So apparently a guy named Matt Jones and Craig Greenberg are now the owners of OVW. And they leave Al Snow still in charge, running the day-to-day operations. And they have a plan to run small towns and county fairs. So they really want a traditional traveling wrestling promotion like, an old territory. You know what? Not bad. That's not a bad idea. But from what I see, they need to pump some money into this thing. Because OVW is, woo boy. If it wasn't, now when you watch it, Al Snow always presented it as a wrestling school. That kind of means that you have to watch it you're just watching it to watch it. You're not watching it to expect, full, the best production, the best wrestlers, all that type of stuff. You're basically watching people perform as they learn how to work. So that makes things a lot easier. So before we really get into this Nightmare Rumble and whatever chicanery I'm going to come up with in this thing, I watched this match, of course, before I did this video. And I cannot do justice to one of the promos that took place during this match. You have to hear it for yourself. I'm going to play the promo in its entirety. Hope I don't get a copyright strike. I don't give a damn. It's worth it. It's funny as shit. So I'm going to let's go into that. And I don't even know what number this guy came in, and it doesn't matter. But it's fucking hilarious. So let's go into it right now.
Omar Mir just took the head off of the Golden Ball. Omar Mir's going to present
Ronnie Roberts!
Reverend himself, Reverend Ronnie Roberts. Some of the best entrance music in the company. Steve, entrance music doesn't win you the Rumble.
Oh, what a beautiful day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Can I get an amen? That's right. I'm glad to see each and every one of you here tonight. And what you all have in common with the old people in the Bible is if the good Lord Jesus was here tonight, he'd be sitting right out here with you all, amen? And you want to know why he would be sitting with you? Because he didn't sit with the Pharisees. He didn't sit with the Sadducees. He sit with the lowlifes, with the scumbags, with the dirty, rotten, most disgusting people of the earth. That's who the Lord hangs out with, amen? And you all are the filthiest, dirtiest sinners of all time. That's why I'm here to help you all get right tonight, amen? Here we go. Come on now. You have money to get into a wrestling show. Yeah, money get to a wrestling show. Come on, you know you can get. Come on, I know you got money. Them shoes you got on.
Interested
Hey,
in the
back up,
Rumble
you
and
sinner.
collecting funds. I'll hear Haley J saying she was going to give him
You want me to get in the ring?
Freeze making sure
Fine,
he's
I'll
gonna
win
get
this
some
right
match.
now. I'll win this Rumble right now.
Good Reverend. He knows where his bread's
Look
buttered.
at
Not going to
you.
collect a lot of funds in there. I don't
Omar
think,
Amir,
Steve.
you're the biggest sinner of them all in here.
I don't think
You know what?
Omar Amir
I
is
want you to do, I want you to hop your sinning behind over this top rope, go back to the back, and go get your wallet and pay your tithes.
Oh, the collection plate's been tossed into the audience. And Reverend Ronnie's been tossed to the outside. Reverend Ronnie eliminated, both feet hit the floor.
Hey, just like that.
Man, oh man. Oh my ribs was touching after that joint. Oh, it was hilarious. It was even more hilarious because I wasn't expecting it. That's what made it even funnier. Like, oh man, I was like, I cannot wait to. I was trying to summarize. I was like, no, I'm just gonna need to play the whole thing. That shit was legit dope. It was legit. Now, the Reverend is almost always a heel. I know there's something weird about that for some people, but the Reverend, the pastor, he's almost always a heel. He's almost never a babyface. But that dude killed it. He killed it. That was really good. All right, so he came in somewhere near the mid beginning of the match. But let's just go through the match. So it was called the Nightmare Rumble. It was 30 men, 31 entries, over the top rope, 2-minute intervals. Now, I did not misspeak. It is 30 men, 31 entries. One man was allowed to enter the match twice because he won the right to enter the match twice, which I actually thought was pretty dope. You know, like you had a match where if the guy won, he gets a second chance if he was to be eliminated earlier, and that's what happened. So that was pretty cool. So the winner was going to face Jesse Goddard for the national title. And through basically just watching the show, I realized that the national title is the highest level title. So this one is called the OVW Heavyweight Championship, but it's not the highest level title. The highest is the OVW national title. They didn't tell me that, but that's just kind of how it came across. Unless they did say it and I just missed it. So let's hit some notes from this match. I don't know anybody's name because there was no name cards. So there was just people like coming out, and I had to listen to the commentators, and sometimes I didn't catch a name or the name was just a mess or something like that. But one guy kissed another guy. I legit wanted to stop the match right there because I was like, I didn't sign up for this. This happened without my consent. A lot of the talent was nondescript. They were well built, meaning that they were in shape. A lot of them were young guys, which was good. I mean, it is a wrestling school. There was some guys that looked really rough. Some that looked like they've been, traveling, the journeyman for a long time. There was a lot of potential. There was some dude named Fanny Pack Kid or something like that. There was a bunch of dudes in this match that were basically like retro guys. Like I'm talking Ribera jackets and fanny packs and the early 90s neon colors with the mullets and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is everybody, like, it felt like every other person had a throwback gimmick. It was real weird. It was real weird. So some guy named Steve Michaels came in, and he essentially played the Diesel role. He looked a lot like One Man Gang, except for he was just like a big, fat dude. He eliminated about 6 guys after they jumped on his back, and he came in and just really wrecked house. He eliminated like 8 or 9 people all told. And he wasn't in the match that long. The eventual winner, Omar Amir, body slammed him and threw him out of the ring, which would have been a dope spot if he hadn't already been in the ring. Like, because Omar Amir came in at number 9, he was already in the ring when this guy came in. So usually when a guy is running roughshod, in like a Royal Rumble or a Battle Royal or something, the guy who throws him out is not already in the ring. Usually that guy comes down the ramp and they stare each other down, and they do that. But this guy was already in the ring. But it was still pretty cool because he eliminated some guy. So that was fine. And then you had this guy named Amon. He said it was the demon. and he was dressed like the fourth member of Demolition. He had the straps on and everything with the studs on it. And I mean, just looking at the guy, he straight up looks like a dude who is playing wrestler, but in his real life, he teaches fourth grade art class. I was just looking at that shit and laughing my ass off. Because he's like, rah! He's like really skinny and weird. I'm like, get this dinner for schmucks shit the fuck out of here. There was a bunch of dudes with ponytails and man buns floating around all over the place. I had no idea. I was so disgusted. And then I was even more disgusted when somebody was doing like the Ravish and Rick Rude hip thing. And then one of these very small black kids, he was built like a stack of dimes. He got him in a waist lock, and he did the Ravish and Rick Rude thing with the kid around his waist. So the kid's hips was moving too, and then the kid had a twin brother. They wrestled in the later part of the card, and then he grabbed him, and so he's just like swiveling his hips with both of these kids wrapped around his waist. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I was like, oh no. What kind of party is this? What kind of party is this? So the twins, they were the tag team champions apparently. And one of them got eliminated, and he was getting jumped by some dude whose name I just did not get. The tag team name was the Heat Seekers, though. So the both of them were jumping his brother. He eliminated himself to save his brother, which was completely. I mean, it's a good babyface thing to do, but you could have saved your brother without jumping over the top rope. I mean, you didn't need to be stupid. So some guy in the match was named Matt Cashflow, which is a very strange name, especially because he was a white dude who looked like he drives trucks for a living. But he was in there chopping meat like Paul fucking Bunyan. You hear what I'm saying? Like, them chops, them shits sound like Wild Bill Irwin's whip. It was bad. That shit like sound like it hurts. And I don't know. Now they weren't as bad as like Walter. Like Walter's chops sound like they just terrible. It sound like it's torture. But that cash flow, them joints didn't sound much better. Them joints like sound like they hurt. That shit sound like it hurt bad. But that actually kept me interested because I was like, he is in there just chopping dudes to death. It was great. So some guy named Tony Gunn, he was the guy who got 2 chances, and he was eliminated twice, which was funny. It was great. Like he got eliminated, and then like 3 more people came in, and he had to come back in. But that's why it was 30 men for 31 entries, because he won a match to get in the match twice. Mahabali Shera was in this match, and I just wrote down like, whoa, Mahabali Shera, like this guy has been in Impact for like a decade, probably more. I think Mahabali Shera was in Impact in 2008. You know, I believe he was. Like, I cannot believe he's still floating around the independents. You know, I think OVW might be in some way related to Impact because there's a lot of Impact guys on this show. But I was just thinking to myself, like, man, Shera could really be doing something in WWE because they're trying to break into the Indian market. Shera could be like, just based off size, could be a big deal in NXT or something like that. Because they teach him. I mean, I understand like he's been in the business like 10 years. If he don't know what he's doing by now, he's not going to get it. But just based off his size alone, he could have been something major, just in NXT. But he got eliminated by Omar Amir, who ended up winning the match. And the last 2 were Cash Flow, the choppy guy, and Omar Amir. And Omar Amir won the match from the 9th position and won the OVW title. So upon winning the OVW title, it made him the number 1 contender for Jesse Goddard's national title. And they was going to have that match on the same card. So the rest of the show was basically just championship matches. So, the next match was a number 1 contenders match. It was Hollywood Haley J versus Jocelyn Navarro. So Hollywood Haley J looks like trailer trash white girl. and I just absolutely was not interested. I was not interested. I'm sorry. Jocelyn Navarro is kind of a heavyset Jamaican girl. The match was again graded on a curve. You know, if it was supposed to be a professional show and not a school, I would say it was the shits. But it was still the shits. I mean, they had some idea of what to do. Their stuff wasn't bad, but they just had no intensity, no story, no fluidity. you know, there's no characters really. So, but they didn't kill each other, and it was passable, I guess. I think my problem was it was just too long. I think this match could have been shorter. But I think I've seen Jocelyn Navarro before. I think she might have been on an Evolve show. I have never seen Haley J before, but I'm pretty sure I saw Jocelyn Navarro at Evolve or something like that. So she's been floating around for a long time. The finish came with some dude whose name I did not catch because again they never showed any name cards. Came down and he slid Haley J a sack of rocks or like a sock full of rocks or whatever, and then he distracted the ref. Haley J swung, boinked Jocelyn Navarro across the head with a sack of rocks and pinned her. So she's the number one contender for the women's title. Interesting. So then they had the 7-man Rush Division Championship and didn't define what Rush Division meant. I had no idea what the Rush Division was. I had to look at it and just look at it, and from looking at the participants, I can tell like, okay, this is basically their cruiserweight title. But before that, there was a promo from the actual champion who says something very interesting. He says, effort is the Siamese twin of success. And I was like, that's interesting. And, he had cut like a promo. Like this promo was like a mishmash of like, he did like cringy. Well, I'm not crazy. I'm just kind of on the borderline of crazy. But that's just like, for me, I'm like, I don't want to hear about how crazy you think you are. But, I don't want to hear about that. But this idea about him wanting to be a fighting champion and how he's working hard and how he beat 2 people to win the title. Then he beat 2 people afterwards. So he thinks he can beat 7. He thinks he can beat 6 now. So he asked for the 7-man match. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Now, it took me forever to catch the names of all these people because I had never seen any of them except 2 of them before. Like 5 of these people in this match I'd never seen before. So, yeah, I always like seeing people for the first time. So, it's very interesting. So, the opponents were J.C. Adams, William Lutz. Lutz is the champion. Rohit Raju. I can't believe I couldn't get away from him. The Hood Ninja, which is fucking hilarious. He is basically like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe, except like a black dude who's dressed like Ryu from Shinobi. He's wearing jeans. The Hood Ninja. That's excellent shit. Ace Austin was in this match, which is really interesting. AJ Daniels and Star Rider. Star Rider has got to be the most generic wrestling name of all time. This match was pretty standard. It was basically just a cruiserweight match with guys jumping all over the place. A bunch of flippity-doo acrobatics and shit like that. They really need to work on making sure, like, one of the basic things is everybody comes onto the show. It's their first show. So you should introduce everybody. And yes, they did take the time to introduce everybody. But there needs to be like name cards. So I'll know like who is who. And, throwing like 1,000 people into a match. And there's a chance that somebody's seeing this for the first time. That's makes the match inaccessible. I have to know who's in the fucking match. I need to know what the fuck are the rules to the match. I need to know what the fuck, if we're going to call this a division, what's the rules of the division? Is it a weight limit? Is it a time limit? Like, what is going on here? I don't have no idea what this is. So, basically, just from watching the match, I had to figure out what the rules are, which is basically a 7-way, fatal 7-way, where the first pinfall, first submission wins. So Ace Austin and Rohit Raju was in this match. I died laughing off that one. I was like, oh my god, they were like big stars in this place. Like, bro, Ace Austin got a pretty decent reaction. I was like, what the hell? And I was actually surprised that they had a crowd. I forgot to mention that earlier. Is that was actually very interesting that OVW has a crowd, and that a lot of these smaller promotions are working in front of crowds, while WWE has chosen not to. They've even decided not to have it for the Royal Rumble, which is very, very interesting. So something's telling me that they may be being paid not to do it, or somebody else is paying for the Thunderdome, so they don't care. But OVW had a crowd, which is really interesting. A couple of spots in here is that Luke's, his name. He looked a lot like Spike Dudley. It was just small guys, but he was doing Undertaker's old school, except for he instead of doing a jump off the top rope into the guy whose arm he was holding, he did a moonsault back onto the crowd, which was typical. The Hood Ninja actually won, which I thought was hilarious. He won with a flying leg drop. He's part of some group called the Legacy of Brutality, which includes a guy, I think he's wearing a pig mask. I was just kind of like, the pig mask actually looked pretty cool. Legacy of Brutality is kind of standard bullshit, though. So the Tag Team Championship match was next. The Tag Team Championship match was the Tate Twins, whom the commentary didn't even know them apart, versus the Heat Seekers, which is some guy named Russell and some other guy named Sigmund. That was apparently they were former NWA Tag Team Champions, so they've been around for a long time. They came out in Ribera jackets, while the Tate Twins came out to some shitty ass Kirk Franklin rap song like "This Is How We Slam." I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, these two dudes look like they jumped off the Magic School Bus and decided to have a wrestling match, and then they decided to give them gospel rap for a theme song. Like, this shit was horrible. And they had ponytails on the top of their heads. I was like, oh, please. If we're gonna use God, please deliver me from this shit. I need deliverance from this shit. So the Tate Twins won by a roll up. I really didn't even care about this match, to be quite honest, because the Heat Seekers, I didn't know who they were. I never really caught their names. And it felt like nothing matters. It just felt like it didn't matter. So the main event was Mr. Spectacular, Jesse Goddard versus Omar Amir for the OVW National Championship. And Jesse Goddard is a guy who I completely forgot existed. I know he's also another Impact mainstay. So something tells me that this place, it wasn't mentioned that it's an Impact offshoot, but I think it might be part of the Impact pipeline. Because it reminds me a lot of like Evolve. Like when I watch Evolve shows, you see like NXT people pop up and they'll talk about them and, oh yeah. And the fans will treat them like big stars and, give them that big star reaction and stuff like that because they are kind of big stars. They're bigger stars than everybody else on the show. But so I'm guessing that's really what happens here. But if that's the case, I understand Ace Austin and Rohit Raju. They're pretty recent on Impact. I don't understand Jesse Goddard. Jesse Goddard has not been on Impact in, seems like forever. And for him to be the top guy, I was really paying attention to what he was doing. Because I was saying to myself, like, why on earth would you make Jesse Goddard your top guy? Of all people, of all Impact, I'm guessing you could say rejects, why would you have Jesse Goddard as your top guy? But after watching this match, I was like, he's actually not that bad. He's actually pretty good. And if he was on, he needs to be on Impact. Like he's better than most of the people on Impact. If we and he keeps his stuff basic. He's an arrogant heel, so he spends a lot of time selling. He really knows how to feed a comeback, which is the best thing. It's one of the best things that you can know as a heel is how to feed a comeback. And Amir, despite the fact that they said he was like a rookie or something like that, he was really aggressive, really fiery. This actually showed what both of these guys can do. because it was one-on-one, right? So I got to look at each individual guy and each individual's guy's talents, their look, their abilities, etc., etc. So this match was really solid. Okay, Jesse Goddard is not bad. He's not gonna pull out a moonsault flippity do all over you. He works in a basic wrestling style that probably would definitely work in NXT or WWE. It's definitely like a main roster WWE style. He does a lot of decent to good selling. I love how he did a test of strength with Omar Amir. Like, that's their thing that they're with Omar Amir. They're trying to put over how strong he is. And Jesse Goddard trying to test his strength, and his leg was like shaking, like quivering, as he was trying to hold this guy back. And I thought that was pretty good. He hangs out with some dude named Shannon the Dude. I have no idea who that is. But the OVW National Championship is a beautiful belt. It's a gorgeous belt. I actually love that belt. They probably need to, like, I don't know if they I don't know if they can sell them, but I may actually look into buy one if it's one of them if they were that interesting. So there was a lot of run-ins in this match though. There was a couple of run-ins. Shannon the Dude distracted Amir, so Jesse Goddard could take advantage. I really liked Omar Amir's comeback. It was basically just clotheslines, and he had a very, I know this is gonna sound kind of offensive, but he had a very Ahmed Johnson like comeback when he's like but people like that aggressive shit. They really do. People get behind it. The crowd was getting behind it. That's how Jesse was doing his job. Bumping appropriately, making the guy look really strong, even though he knew the guy was going to lose. He made him look good. So there was a ref bump where Jesse Goddard drop kicked Amir into the ref. Then Cash Flow interfered and knocked Goddard down. And then Amir hit his finish, but there was no ref. So Goddard had time to relax, and he was able to kick out. And then Shannon the Dude was still interfering in the match. He got kicked out. And while he was being escorted out of the arena, Tony Gunn hit Omar Amir in the nuts. Goddard then won with the Anagon Vice. So it was interesting. It was an interesting trip into OVW. And the production was the shits. I'm talking like the cameras looked like they were falling down sometimes. The sound was the shits. The ring announcers were not good. The ring announcers probably in some cases didn't even know the rules to the match. Some of them were saying things out of order, like the one young lady. Well, I believe she was the only one. She was saying like the number one contenders, women's championship, number one contender. I was laughing my ass off. Because I know like she's trying, man. She's not a professional. She's probably like the daughter of some guy who runs the place. She's probably like one of the hot dog vendors or something. Like, that's how these janky small promotions are run. Now, usually they're a little bit more professional to this, even in the territories. But you're dealing with a school here. Cut them some slack. So I did. So the commentary was the shits. But I didn't, I'm not going to bend them over the knee too much. I enjoyed bits of it. I would have liked to be able to absorb a lot more of it and, understand who some of these people are and understand their characters and stuff like that, motivations and stuff. But they just kept stacking multiple men in the match and stuff like that. And I was just kind of like, I can't get it. I can't get right with this. But that goddamn Reverend Ronnie Roberts, he won the night. That's one of my favorite wrestling promos in a long time, dog. I fucking love that shit. That's a great promo. I hope he got a raise for that. I hope he get a raise and they give him 2 cheeseburgers for that. Because that was badass, man. Did y'all watch this show? Or do you even care about OVW? Let me know in the comment section below. Like this video share this video, subscribe to this channel. Buy me lunch for watching this show. I know some people really wanted me to watch OVW. That really incentivizes me to do stuff like this. If you guys send money, then have to pay more attention to things that I'm getting sent money for. So I'm just going to do things at random if I don't get money. Also, feel free to attract attention to my channel by using hashtag 3count commentaries. If you would please, I would appreciate that. 3count commentaries is, it's growing slowly, but it's growing. And I thank everybody for your patience and for your patronage. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Yeah. Yeah.